5 to 9 now. The private equity firm, Bain Capital, that's the one actually in which Mitt Romney, the American presidential candidate, was involved. It has bought 80% of the British government-owned blood products company, Plasma Resources UK. Now, this is not the National Blood Service. It's not the one you give blood to, but it is an important part of the NHS's plasma supply. And one person who is not happy about it is the former Health Minister, as well as many other things, Lord Owen, who I think joins us now. Good morning.
Morning.
Tell us what your objection to this is.
Well, remember, this was bought by the last government, Labour government, in 2002 because of the danger of to contamination of blood supplies by CJD, which most people think of as mad cow disease. And it was bought for the NHS and owned by the NHS. And this is being sold to a private equity capital. This is not a public company with shareholders and public responsibilities and answerability, but to a private equity company. And private equity has its uses. I was on the advisory board of a private equity company, Terra Firma. But what they basically do is they fatten it up over a few years, invest in order to sell at very high, substantial prices. So the British government might make a profit, but you're putting a very sensitive health asset in a corporate governance which barely exists.
Is that what Terra Firma does with its assets?
I personally opposed, and Terra Firma did not buy healthcare assets for the simple reason, I think they did later, for the simple reason that they want a return on capital which is over 30%, very, very substantial profits, which I don't think is sensible as an investor, because government comes in and very soon scandal occurs and they say you can't make that sort of profits out of NHS or of healthcare. So I think that what is at issue here is there no limits to how this government will privatize assets and to what companies? And there's a big American company called Baxter's which were involved in this and made a bid, which would have been, if you're going to sell it, I wouldn't sell it myself, but if you're going to sell it, would be a perfectly reputable, a proper corporate governance company, and you sell it to a private equity capital. It's really extraordinary.
One of the concerns people have had and have expressed publicly, members of the public, is that they don't want to give blood to any kind of service that is then going to make a profit out of it. But I think you would be able to reassure those people, even as a critic of the sale, that that is not what's going on here, because the...
Well, I don't know what's going on. That's
this company,
one of the
though,
real issues that you're facing.
But it's not part of the blood transplant service here, is it? I mean, we give blood, and that blood is given to the NHS.
The main essence of it.
No.
The reason that we bought the American company was we couldn't rely on blood supplies from a fairly large section of the British population.
Right. So we needed to secure
another
supply.
Source.
Yeah,
so we went to America. But
right.
The real danger is there's an international blood supply system. Chinese are very heavily involved, and you cannot trust the inspectors. We're dealing with viruses. We're dealing with the potential mutation of viruses. We relied to a great deal on rather broad questions like, did you ever have jaundice, or were you yellow and you give a blood transfusion? And we're dealing with a whole new range of diseases. This is a very delicate question. If you get penetration into the international blood supply, which you might well get if it's unscrupulously handled, blood supplies down in the south of America or something like that. Now, a good company in America, well regulated and answerable to shareholders, a public company, won't do that. Private equity, what control have you got?
Half the sales of this company are outside the UK now. It's much more than a kind of crucial supplier to the NHS. It is a commercial operation, has been acting as one. Does that not in any way alleviate your concerns?
No, I think that the question I ask you, Evan, is there any difference between a corporation controlled by its shareholders with public governance and a private equity capital? You know what private equity does. It has its uses. Should it be the most sensitive asset we have almost in the NHS put into private equity hands? What do you think?
I just asked the questions. Lord Owen, Lord Owen, thanks very much for joining us.
That's it from us. Our editors today were Terry O'Neill and Serene Bain, saved by the pips there. Good morning.